here we are at Breconside Cottage. So this is the day we get the keys. Come basically prepared to do a lot of gardening. I was expecting to have to trim all this and to cut all the grass, but the grass and the trimming has predominantly been done. This is the £800 Panda. I've got my strimmer inside it, my new lawnmower, and I brought the wheelbarrow because we have got a lot of crap to move. The idea and the project will start here with a container, 20-foot container, which I'm going to create a workshop out of, secure bike storage, and going to put a solar panel on the roof at some point, and 4 IBCs in this corner out of the way for a water butt. So 4,000 litres should see me through a summer of no rain. We also have a stream just to the side here, which is what you can hear. The gates. And this side is number 2. So number 2 is the bigger of the ones. This is the one that I'll be changing quite a lot of over the years. So the plan is to remove the flower bed here and wall and put a fence across, a 90 with a nice entrance gate. Change all this probably to a nice stone driveway. Get rid of the good old 80s. This is the main garden, which is going to be extended over time, bit by bit. Got hawthorn bushes which are going to get dropped into a hedge all the way around. The long-term plans to put a glamping pod in there. So that's the cottages from the back. The fencing and bushes all the way across the middle of the 2 gardens is going to go, and I will show you from the other side now. So this land across the road is actually part of the property. The greenhouse isn't actually on the land, it's just out of boundaries slightly, but the land kind of extends where it's been trimmed. So the long-term plan is when I've got the container there, the stone wall that's behind the container will move that stone wall and create a boundary which obviously is a stone wall all the way around. Rebuild some of this stone wall with the stone that I removed from the other side. Like I said, because of the dogs, we want to contain them, so we're going to put a fence through probably the lot, leave the stone gateway because that's incredible, but use all that stone in other places where we can make better use out of it. The side down here, this actually needs rebuilding and rejiggling a little bit over time. The concrete stairs we're going to leave. I'm going to make a handrail for them. The coal bunker here is going to go. We're going to create probably a wildflower garden on the banking here at the side of the steps. This area at the top, which is grass, we're going to level this out so we can have a picnic bench on the top, and this is going to be where the garden ends. So at the moment where the what was a vegetable plot that's got this bordering with sleepers, that's going to be the edge of the garden roughly. We'll probably reuse all these sleepers to help level this out at the top of here, maybe put a bit of a fencing across that, I don't know, but that's all kind of be to figure out at some point. But with the garden edge being across here, probably a nice fence going across, we'll have then the rest of this as part of mine. A couple of the bushes in between here we'll leave, a couple of these trees definitely getting left, and this area here we need to extend. So the 2 sheds at the moment which are quite dilapidated, this one's no roof, they're all going to get pulled down, but all the good wood that we can use out of it is going to be kept, and at some point want to put a chicken shed in, so I'll probably hand make that out of myself. There's loads of scrap at the bottom of here, stuff that is just literally going to go to the tip. Some old corrugated roofing bits and pieces, and a bit of a telegraph pole by the looks of it. All this is things that just need to get to the tip, and we'll kind of that's obviously a nice compost heap. But yeah, this is where we're at today. So any of this kind of scrap is just going to get shifted, going to get taken next door. This fence is all falling down. this is probably the first thing to do, is to cut a pathway through, get into that so we can use a wheelbarrow out of the other side so we're not going up the steps. But this is the holiday let side, which is soon to be an extension of my side. Got like a nice apple tree here, and don't know, maybe a damson tree, not even sure what that is. I don't think it's a pear tree, but again, if anybody knows what these two trees are, this is the apple tree. It's actually got a couple of buds on it, look at that. Got an apple growing, incredible. Right, I think it's time to get some work done now. What are you saying, Megs? Sound. Mini grafter.
With some scrap metal on top.
Nice.
Miscellaneous.
What's wrong with that saw? I reckon we can use this. Nice 7 iron. Rotten roof. Beautiful. Probably 35 degrees in the sun, and I've just had my overalls on, literally covered in sweat, rigger boots. But first blitz round with the strimmer, and this area now is a lot more open. Want it, dogs? You had that? So we've got the scrap to remove out of here still. I'm going to cut a couple of these branches down now with a silky. We've pulled out some of the fence. So this area of the fence I'm going to pull back. It's all completely entwined with obviously these, I can't even tell you what they are, weeds effectively. Left that bush in, a couple of trees here, the raspberries. Unfortunately I was taking a few out, but I clipped one that had a fresh raspberry on it. That's getting eaten. That's at this rate, when it's this hot, probably go and jump in Loch Arthur. Oh. It's been a busy first day. We now have the keys. We picked the keys up at around 4 o'clock. It's just gone after 7, and I've moved a lot of scrap from behind number 1. I've made an absolute monster of a pile for a bonfire. There was a bonfire previously there, so we figured that we may as well just bring round all the but this is what we've massively changed on. Big old graft. Left that for now for some composting. There's some more piles of, well, a lot of it's debris, and it's basically pulled out from behind the actual trees. The old bikes and stuff was from behind here. There's loads of other scrap bits of metal. The shed that was there, we've got the floor out of the way, but some of this wood, if we can retain it and it's actually usable, I'll keep it. Found a few random things. So a decent usable tub, old school drain pipe. So this is a proper cast drain pipe. Probably keep hold of this. Got a bit of a, I don't know if that's a part of an old axe or something, but we did find a couple of axes. That one's one with a proper handle, and somebody's actually made one with a branch handle, which is pretty unique. Needs a lot of sharpening, but again, we'll keep those axes. I'll stick them in line with mine. And yeah, a couple of old watering cans, as well as this old milk churn. This is the shed that's still standing. This is a problem that I'm yet to tackle. Yeah, this is massively opened out. If we get some of these branches up out of the way, the grass should grow a lot better. Especially now we've moved a lot of the old brush, because this was piles of brush, piles everywhere. Well, we are back at the cottage, and it's another big day, but a relatively chilled one on the grand scale of things. Because we're having a bonfire, a lot of wood that's been sat around here rotting away for, I don't know, forever and a day. That's basically where I'm up to at the moment. Good do. Where the dogs have been drinking, there's a spring comes out bottom of the garden, just to the side of the driveway, and I've got carried away with cutting it back. So I've put a big slab in down the bottom so that the dogs can walk in that direction. And yeah, That's it, that's the one tea, well done, and then you can get a drink. So nearing the end of day 2 at the cottage. I've barely been inside. I've literally just been burning a lot of the stuff from last time, and I've marked out where the container is going to go. So the white mark on the floor there that tallies up with the mark on the wall, that's 9 foot out from the actual wall and 20 foot along where that pile of stones are. That is roughly the end of the container. That sort of point going across, which gives an idea of how much space there is. I could put 3 containers along here, no problems. Trying to organise one that I can actually shift is the issue, because I don't want to spend over £2 on a container from Bathgate, which is what I've been quoted so far, when you can pick them up for like 950 quid. It's just the transportation side of things. But when I drive a wagon, it's just a case of finding somebody that can actually lend me a wagon with an IAB, or yeah, I'll figure that one out. But the bonfire has been going all day. Going to park the trailer up, put that inside through the gates, and call it a day, I think. So we are now on to, I think, the 6th day of graft. I think we've made a hell of a lot of changes, a hell of a lot of progress. It's been brutal. So the lane at either side on the run into the cottage has been cut. Just giving this a trim round today. That centre section that had the wood around it, we've just used as well, just literally moved it out of the way, but made a bit of a decking area where there was a bit of concrete. The hedgerow and everything has all been painstakingly ripped out. That's kind of gone now. And the last thing we've just done up here is that little bit we've attacked, but I need to pull the fence out and then tidy up this. Plenty of stumps everywhere, but eventually we'll get the stumps out, trim this tree back. Hopefully we can get a rope swing off that sort of like C-shaped or J-shaped branch. That's kind of the plan. That should be kind of cool. But 2 cuts on the grass today. All is good. A sizable garden. Dogs love it. I love it. Megs loves it. Trim these trees down as well. They've had an uplift. Hammock fits in there like a glove. Didn't try that. And Megs has been busy removing all the plants. So we decided that we're going to carry the stone wall straight across and then have it turned down here, so when we build out the utility it'll kind of work. That sort of entrance to the garden there, we'll just remove all that and have it all grass. Same down this section here, have all this grass, and then you'll have the main entrance up onto the lawn area from here. So we'll rebuild this area into a nice entrance, and then the driveway, get rid of that crazy paving on the far side where the wheelbarrow is, because that's just awful. At some point we'll get a stone path laid down there on top of the concrete. That's all going to get removed, is that flower bed and stone wall, fence off that side, and then this bit of stone wall here is with this pointless entrance. That's going to get, again, straight line just down here, so it just squares off the driveway. This whole area was completely covered, massively overgrown, pallets, stone, random crap all entwined in shit, and that's all now gone. 6 months in, and this is the long overdue video to see the progress. So been here now just give or take just over 6 months, and we are now just into 2026. I'm stood here at the top corner. Behind me there is Breconside Farm. That's actually their new build farmhouse, which I've been talking to them about in regards to what they've actually got heating wise and things, but I don't think it'll work the same in an old 1800 cottage. But if I flip the camera, Tani spotted the sheep, so she's super excited to keep guard. I am right up at the top of the garden looking down. As you'll notice from the first half of this video, there is a ridiculous amount of work gone in through the summer, and while it was nice weather, I've basically spent most of the time outside. So keeping on top of the grass, because that's been growing. But the main things we've done is basically uplift all the trees to get a lot more light back, and as you can see, the grass is now starting to grow underneath that. Trim that one. The bushes I'm going to do this winter while they're right back. That one has gone completely, but that will grow back. I'm just going to trim that back down. I just never got a chance to. But the main difference is the hedgerow with the fence in it is all gone, but a couple of these bushes which I wanted to leave. This was an insane amount of work, and some of the roots that were out of these weeds were coming back into the grass like 20 feet, and yeah, I'm sure some will probably sprout back through this summer, but we shall see how that goes. This bush particularly was like, oh, maybe 10-12 foot. Just doesn't do it justice in the footage. But these trees, again, massive uplift on those to get a lot more light down, and all this area that was completely covered has started to grow back. Obviously the grass is taking back over. This area had obviously the two kind of sheds in it. One had a wasp nest. Oh, it was absolute carnage. Behind it there was literally like so much scrap and random stuff, toilet seats, golf clubs, literally bikes in there. I've tried to reclaim a piece of wood as well. I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but if I can do, I may do. It would just look like a nice piece to keep hold of, so I've kept that. I've added a swing because why not? Took a few branches off again to create a bit more light for the bottom. Got a swing in. This is the holiday let side, so this was the idea. I think I said this in the first half of the video about putting a fence row in. That means that we can keep all them fruit trees into my kind of area to look after. I don't know what we're going to do with the staircase here. The steps aren't brilliant. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Obviously the coal bunker is going to have to go. This shack on the outside, which at the moment is just a bin store, whether or not I can actually salvage this to keep it as a bin store and just put an end on it, this part of the shack which goes to the back door is definitely going to have to come down because it's just awful. The inside is where a lot of the work has been done. While I'm passing though, during the winter we've had a lot of rain, and well, start the end of autumn really. There is no drainage, so the ditches at either side, basically it comes to stop on this side here, and all the water is, obviously you can see it's destroying the road in various places along here. But what was happening was that all the volume of water was actually running down obviously the front of this grass where we're parking, so much so that the grass then is obviously incredibly waterlogged. It is all hard pack underneath, so it does drain pretty well. However, I did have an issue with the sprinter and it got stuck, so that's now sat on waffle boards, so it's absolutely fine to go on and off now. But this was basically a stream that I've basically added just to help with the drainage, and it works incredibly well. When it is wet, the water runs straight across, straight down there. It's coming out of the road in these places, going straight down, and it's making a big difference. I've got some wood there for next year. I picked up that the other day. That's on the drying rack that I've made, and probably should address that actually. That's the container. So this is the 20-foot container that I managed to steal for 300 quid. A bit of damage to it on the sides, which actually is only cosmetic, and with having the idea to clad it in wood as is, didn't make a difference to me. So yeah, absolute bargain. What I've done is welded up the doors on this end. I've attached welded a tow bar onto this edge, so when I park up the trailer, it's at a nice angle, so none of the water sits on top of the cover, which is currently sat next to the trailer. The back of it, I've actually got the racking that came in it when we ripped that out. I've utilised a bit of the racking here, which I also made the log rack over there. I've used this for the kayaks and a bit more storage for some of the fencing wood that I've picked up when I was back home. It's cheaper to get wood down there, strangely. But the security door on this edge, I've got a couple of lights either side of it. We've got the deer skull above it. Inside, the lighting, which is actually all powered off two 12-volt batteries that I've got there, which I got via work. It's all my racing stuff. The bikes are all sat here. Yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a mess in here at the moment. I've currently got the oak floor in here that I've been processing, so all this is processed and ready to go. That's all the 300mm lengths of process, which is yeah, all still ready to go. That's to process yet, which is why the chop's sort of still out. I've got the welder in here, and I've got a nice workbench, and I've got a new toolbox in the side there. We've got the rest of the tools up here. We're kind of all there, but we've got so much stuff still to sort out and organise. These boxes are all full of things that were out of the unit. The only thing I've now left back home at the moment is the Jeep. This is beautiful. I'm really chuffed with the container so far. To sort out the drift track, again, I have nowhere for it. I'm yet to get a IBC for this side to catch the water, so at some point that drain pipe is going to go straight into an IBC. I'll then be able to use that IBC for washing the vehicles, washing the bikes with, and that'll be all powered by the 12-volt system off the lights as well. So I've actually built a log stack that needs a couple of braces up top against the building just to keep it secure. If we leave it there, it seems like the best sheltered place. The wind does usually come from that direction with all the rain, so I've got an end covering that from this side, and I was going to give it a lick of paint, but I like the fact that it's got the overhanging points. It's all steel, it's incredibly strong. We have had it full a couple of times. All that wood needs seasoning, so I'm not going to touch that wood. Same with that. I'm going to build a nice log stack in between those windows for, again, that's for next year, is that, because that all needs seasoning. In the last storm that we had, one of the windows blew out up top. Not a big issue, but just annoying for now. The bigger issue is that there's no flashing on that chimney breast, and yeah, the water comes in massively. Let's have a look inside number one. So, first thing to address, the walls and doors have gone. So, big job so far. We've removed the wall and expanded basically the living room area. Got a lot of the loft insulation to go in. That's what I'm actually on with now. But yeah, there's a lot of bricks there that I've managed to clean up. We're salvaging as many bricks and stuff as we can do. We've got the fireplace in this one looked at. There was a lot of dry rot in here, which again, I've not even started. I've ripped this off to see how bad it is, and we're kind of going from there. There's so many things to be doing at the moment that I've just I've had a look at it. I know where I'm at with it. We'll come back to that. The staircase in this side is actually going to be removed. So we're going to put a loft ladder in here and leaving it central. We've actually got, like I said, outside quite a bit of rain, water coming in through here. So at the moment, everything's just being left. We're going to get somebody in, roofer-wise, to address that issue. That is yet to come. The roll insulation obviously is to go in all the eaves. So the joint loft space, managed to open this up, so we've got actually a nice access point. So when there is a loft ladder and another floor in, we've got this space now really tidy. Both these two skylights leak, so again, that's something we're going to address. But the insulation on these two now is so much better. Still got some more to put down. But yeah, so far so good. Let me walk you through the plans for number two, which is my side. So, not a great door, not a great entrance, but we're leaving it as is. Come on, T. We'll be replacing the outside door on both of them at some point in the short term. These bits of walls are incredibly cold, so these are going to get replaced at the same time as what I'm currently on with. So at the moment, what I've done is expose all this front wall, because no better time to do that than when it's -3, because it ain't cold. But we're replacing all this wall now with insulated plasterboard, and then I can do my live edge slab windowsill, which I've got a nice piece of blue spruce which is going to go in there. I'm going to insulate a bit around the windows as well, because there's literally nothing. The gap at the top, you can actually just see the insulation I put in at the top, because last night when I did this, you could literally feel the cold was just pouring down. It basically may have been a waterfall of cold air. It was incredible. So that is a lot better now. I've left that top bit because the thing that I'm also going to do today, once I finish the loft insulation in that part, is get rid of that wall. Basically, I'm going to remove all the plaster off that wall. Looking at next door, I'm expecting to have some sort of brick on this end where they've just tidied it up, where they've put that doorway through. That's what they've done at that end, where we pulled that wall out. So it'd be interesting to see what that's actually like at this end, because I'm hoping that that granite wall there will be really nice, cleaned up, it'll look beautiful. I've got a couple of electric radiators ordered. One is going to situate there, lifted up against the wall behind the sofa. There's another one going to go underneath the window. So what I'm going to do is remove that radiator, replace it with an electric, and then I've ordered a brand new cast iron radiator. I'm going to try and picture this one for you. This is having anthracite radiator, big anthracite radiator with brass taps and copper braces. I'm going to run the copper pipes up the side of the wall, all exposed on the granite with brass fittings. I'm then going to run another copper pipe down. I'm going to use that as conduit with some brass fittings to a copper socket, which is basically the socket is already there, but I'm going to have that higher up on the wall so everything will match. And I'm hoping that the size of the radiator, I'll be able to put a picture in the middle of it and it'll look incredible against all that granite. The doors on this side are both hung the wrong directions. So again, I've been weighing up the distance and the gap on this one to whether we can actually make that work without having to move the doorway in. And I'm pretty sure I can do with some 37mm insulation board. So that should work out okay. This side, obviously, again, it will just flip, no problem. But that means both light switches on both sides need to be moved into the central. So we're going to actually cut into those. These aren't plasterboard, this is actually all plastered, so that will be a lot nicer to do, so much better, and the layout will be a million times better for us. This is the plan and the visual, what's going to happen. This doorway has got the original door. I want to clean this up and I want to retain the original door. I may in the short term put a better window in, either a thicker piece of glass or maybe even try and get I don't know about a double glazed piece of glass in there, unsure, but I want to retain that door. So the plan is to move the doorway and put it central, and possibly, and this is a question mark, possibly have it opening out the other direction. So if it opens the other way and it is central, we'll be able to run worktop at either side. And the idea is that in this point here, when this opens, so if it opens from the actual corner, it would open that direction into this recess. So the recess, then we could actually house the washing machine and the dryer stacked up on top, and then this area here we're going to expand and go down. So if we extend it to the end of the building, we then have a nice bigger space to use as utility. So what the plan is for that is to probably, if I can find and pick up a conservatory. This side of the building gets all the sunlight. Now, even in winter, when you get the winter sun on the conservatory, it will warm up really nicely. So to have the clothes drying in there with the washer and the dryer, it just makes a lot of sense to me to have it as a conservatory. But I'm going to run the same stone floor right through. So when I do the kitchen, I can do the entire flooring all at once, because the flooring I'm going to go for is Indian stone, and I'm going to use the most colourful pieces of the Indian stone. Tiny, come on. So I'm going to get a couple of packs of Indian stone so we can use all the grey outside and use all the colourful pieces inside. Get this wall shifted across, make the back door central, which to me makes so much more sense in doing so. For the layout of the kitchen, we can then have an actual breakfast bar on this side, and we can run the fridge freezer over here. We can then put a nice slab across here. So I'm going to run real live edge oak worktops, and I've got a Belfast sink. The original plan was actually to run the range cooker, the Eagle Eyes Madder cocked there. Now that runs an LPG. Now with how the direction of what I want to do is going to go, I've decided that that's going to go. I'm going to sell that. We're going to shift that on. See if anybody wants it. It's a bargain price, a couple £100, it's yours. It runs an LPG. But what I'm going to do in here, because we don't have gas at all, I didn't want to have the aesthetic of the gas bottle outside. I'm going to run an electric hob, an electric oven, and keep it all electric. But yeah, that's the plan. So we're going to have basically worktop either side, live edge oak panels. We're going to make the kitchen myself. It's all going to be solid wood. I've decided not to do any cupboards. So anybody who has cupboards, everybody knows you get things hidden at the back of the cupboards. I'm not going to go cupboards. I'm going to go heavy duty drawing, just so we can do away with the cupboards and just put some nice drawers in there. Lots of drawers. Yes, Tony. So this is upstairs in my side. That's the chimney breast. The plan obviously is to leave that all exposed. The chimney up the top does need a little bit of work because there is a little bit of rain coming in there. Not much at all, but a little bit on this side. All the insulation is pretty much done up to certainly at this point. The insulation is in all the eaves. Done that this evening. Got another layer to go on there to get it up to the 300mm, but we've got 200mm in between all the joists at the moment. The flooring is going to get sanded when I do the rest. Just got to fill the top section of that in with the Kingspan, and then obviously the sides as well, just to block off the eaves. Then we'll get that all plastered back over, and that's good. Where the rail was, or rather that was part of the doorway, that's going to be, I think I'm going to use some natural wood. I've always had this vision of a natural wooden handrail, and probably keep that going right through, but we'll remove the plasterboard at that point. I've only just left it for now, but yeah, we're going to replace that. And yeah, we're getting there with this, but it is incredibly cold here up at the moment. And I'm going to wrap up this video now because that pretty much covers everything. And if you want to keep a track on the rest of what we do, hit the subscribe.